Hello, fam. Welcome. Once upon a time, in a quiet town in Enugu, there lived a young girl named Kamsi. She was the pride and joy of her parents, the only daughter and the last child in a family of seven. Kamsi had five elder brothers, strong, protective, and loving. From the day she was born, they all swore to protect her with their lives. Her mother called her Wanyoma, a good woman. Her father never stopped saying she was the light of their home, and truly she was. Kamsi grew up surrounded by love. Her brothers shielded her from harm, while her parents nurtured her dreams. She was brilliant, sharp like a razor, and when she became a chartered accountant, her family celebrated for 3 days straight. Even the villagers joined in saying, "Ah, this one is going far." Then one day, Kamsi met a man named Peter. He was handsome, quiet, and very respectful. He worked in a bank in the nearby city and dressed sharply, his shoes always shining and his voice calm. He met Kamsi during a church conference and was immediately taken by her grace. When he asked her to marry him, Kamsi was overjoyed, but her parents were not quick to accept. They insisted on knowing everything about him. Her father traveled to Peter's village to ask questions. Her brother spoke to his co-workers and even visited his home unannounced. Everything they found came out clean. He's a decent man from a decent family, they all said. Quiet, hardworking, not one to look for trouble. So the marriage was approved. Kamsi's wedding was grand. Her parents wept as she was taken to her husband's house. Her mother held her hand tightly and whispered, "Never forget who you are. If anything happens, come back home." Her brothers gave Peter a warning, gentle but firm. "If you make our sister cry," the eldest one said, "you will answer all of us." Peter only smiled. At first, marriage was sweet. Kamsi cooked, cleaned, worked hard, and did all she could to make Peter happy. He called her his queen, and they laughed over meals and danced on weekends. But slowly, something began to change. It started with small complaints. "Why is the food cold? Why didn't you iron my shirt well? Why are you just getting back from work?" Kamsi would smile and say, "Sorry, my love. I'll do better." Then came the first slap. It happened on a Tuesday evening. Kamsi had worked overtime and returned home 10 minutes late. She apologized, but Peter wasn't in the mood. Before she could remove her shoes, his palm met her cheek. A hot, sharp, sudden slap. She staggered. Peter said nothing. He just walked into the bedroom and slammed the door. Kamsi stood still, her hand on her cheek, tears falling silently. She told herself, maybe he's just stressed, or maybe work was just bad today. But it didn't stop there. From slaps, it moved to punches. From punches to belts, sticks, even kitchen utensils. Peter would say she was too proud. "Your family spoilt you. You think this is your father's house?" he would sneer. Kamsi hid her scars with makeup. She wore long sleeves. She smiled at family gatherings. She told no one. Her mother would call to ask, "Kamsi, how is your home?" And she would lie, "Fine, Mama. Everything is perfect." One day, her third brother Chuka came to surprise her at work. He hadn't seen her in a while and he decided to bring her favorite snack, guguru and groundnuts. When he saw her face, his heart sank. Her right eye was slightly swollen. A faint bruise sat just above her cheekbone. Kamzy, what happened to your face? He asked, dropping the snack. Oh, I hit the door frame by mistake, she said, quickly turning away. Chuka didn't believe her. Kamzy, look at me, he said. Tell me the truth. She looked at her brother, and for the first time in many months, the dam broke. She cried deep, painful tears and told him. Chuka listened quietly. His jaw clenched. He said nothing, but his heart burned with fire. That evening, he gathered his brothers. They didn't scream. They didn't shout. They planned. We won't touch him, the elders once said, but we'll make him feel what she feels. Peter began to notice strange things. At a bar, a group of boys rushed him intentionally. Watch where you are going, one hissed. At the market, a man bumped into him and called him a goat. He was confused. What's happening? He muttered. Then one night, a group of unknown boys followed him and dragged him into a corner. They beat him hard. And just before they left, one whispers, "This is how it feels when you are beaten." Peter limped home that night, holding his ribs. From that day on, Peter noticed a pattern. Every time he laid a hand on Amaka, something bad would happen to him. People would attack him from nowhere. One evening, he sat alone in the dark and he began to think. He remembered the tears in Kamzy's eyes, the pain, the silence, and for the first time, he felt shame. Peter sat alone in the dark living room, his head in his hands. His ribs still ached from the beating. His pride had been shredded, not by fists, but by realization. For the first time in his life, he saw himself not as a husband, not as a man, but as a monster. The silence in the room screamed at him. It reminded him of Kamzy's silence all these months. Her quiet tears, her shrinking spirit, her fake smiles. He looked at the family photo on the wall, the one from their wedding. Kamzy's eyes had sparkled that day. Now they were always tired, dull, and scared. That weekend, Kamzy's brothers came to visit. Not with fists, not with weapons, but with words that struck deeper than any slap. They sat in Peter's living room with their aging father. The air was thick with tension. Peter tried to stand. "Good evening," he said. The elders waved him back into his seat. "Let's talk." Chuka stared him dead into his eyes. "Did you think we wouldn't find out?" Peter looked down. "You raised your hands against our Kamzy," another brother said. "Our sister, the child we all raised like a precious jewel. You beat her like a drum." Peter stammered. I was angry. I didn't mean to hurt her." Their father, a quiet man with silver hair and a voice like a deep drum, finally spoke. "If I had known this is how you would treat my daughter, I would never have allowed you to marry her." Peter's eyes filled with tears. "I have stopped. I have changed." The eldest brother leaned forward. "It's not about what you've stopped. It's about what you've become." Then he asked the question that silenced the room. "If Kamzy was your sister, would you forgive her husband for doing what you've done?" Peter couldn't answer. He broke down. After that evening, Peter began to change. not just outwardly, but inwardly. He started counseling. He apologized to Kamzy, not once, not twice, many times, with actions, not just words. He stopped shouting. He started listening. He cooked dinner sometimes. He ironed her clothes on weekends. He held her hand when she cried. Kamzy, still broken, watched silently. Healing was not easy. Forgiveness was not immediate, but it started slowly. One day, she called her mother and said, "Mama, he's trying, oh." Her mother replied, "If truly he has changed, it's not for you alone. It's for the God who sees all." Things began to change for Peter too. Contracts he had lost came back. His health improved. He smiled more, laughed more. Even his friends noticed. "What's your secret these days?" they asked. He couldn't shake everything that had happened off his head. But he said, "Peace, peace, my brother. I have found peace." Kamsy's brothers kept feasting, not to threaten, but to support. They became mentors to Peter. Slowly, he became not just a better husband, but a better man. 1 year later, on their anniversary, Peter stood up at the family dinner and said, "I thank you all for not killing me when you had every right to." Laughter filled the room. Then Peter held Kamsy's hand and said, "Thank you, my dear wife, for not giving up on me." Kamzy looked at her parents, her brothers, and then at Peter. Her eyes sparkled again. She said softly, "Love should never come with bruises." Dear friends, I hope you learned a thing or two from this story. Here's what I learned. Love is not pain. True love does not hurt. It heals, it supports, and uplifts. Silence is dangerous. Speak out to save your life. Don't hide abuse. No one is too far gone to change, but change must come from within and it must be consistent. Family is protection. When you surround yourself with people who love you, you are never alone. Thank you, my dear friends. Till I come your way again next time with another interesting story, kindly like, subscribe, and share. And please, friends, always watch the ads in my video. Till I come your way again next time. Bye.